Hello and welcome to my Brusho technique class. This is my beautiful butterfly Brusho technique class. I'm so excited to show you how we're going to play with Brusho in several different ways. Okay, your kit comes with the pieces and parts to make all 6 of these cards, as well as 2 aqua painters, 2 Stampin' Spritzers, and a pack of shimmery white cardstock. This cardstock is so cool. I can't wait for you to see this in person. It is absolutely stunning, and it's so great to use with the blend. The brush, so great to use with Brusho. So I'm excited to show you that. All right, so the other thing we'll be using is the Beauty Abounds stamp set and framelits. Most of the framelit work I have already done for you. There are some that you have to cut out your own, and I will show you those. The other things that you will need for Brusho. I am using a laminated surface. This is my laminated placemat, my grid paper, because I'm going to be getting it wet, and it needs to be a surface that I can clean off. I also need lots of paper towels handy, so make sure you have those with you. Another good thing to have on hand is baby wipes. I just use the Kirkland baby wipes. I buy a big old box, and they are great for cleaning up all that Brusho mess. The other thing that you will need is StazOn black ink. That is the ink we'll be using on our project so that the ink does not run. And finally, some of the projects are actually going to contain embossing. So you'll need a heat tool, and you'll need white embossing powder, okay? So those are the tools we'll need, and of course you'll need your Brusho crystal color. There are 5 different crystal colors that we'll be using today. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in to our first project here. Let's go ahead and do this one. This one's a really fun one. This one's really fun because we're going to color the cardstock, and then we're going to cut it out to make the beautiful butterflies. So in your envelope with your blue cardstock base, this is Bermuda Bay, you'll also have a piece of basic black that I have embossed with the Layering Leaves embossing folder. So we'll set this aside. We want it to be out of the way so that it doesn't get wet or ruined, okay? The only thing we're going to be working with is our piece of shimmery white cardstock, which works wonderful with Brusho. And what we're going to do to color our Brusho is, first of all, let's put some paper towels underneath our project here because we're going to use water. Now, ahead of time, I've already filled both my Stampin' Spritzer and my aqua painter with water. So they're both filled with water. Gonna need that. So I'm going to actually take several different colors. I'm gonna use all of them. And you can do Brusho a couple of ways. You can spray the cardstock ahead of time. So we're gonna do that. Just take your Stampin' Spritzer, have the hole facing down to the cardstock, and just get the whole cardstock wet. Okay, so once it's really wet, you can start. Oh, that's the other thing I should tell you. I used a thumbtack to poke a hole in the top of the lid. I use 1 hole per container, and it has enough. It's a big enough hole that the crystals come out just fine. So turn it upside down. You can tap it. But you just shake some crystals out onto the page, and the crystals activate as soon as they hit the water. Let's do some of the orange. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this orange. And then yellow. So we're just getting different colors onto our cardstock. And we're definitely going to need to add more water because you can see this kind of stopped activating with the crystals because the water's kind of run off the page a little bit. Okay, so now we've got all 5 colors on there. I'm gonna take my spritzer and I'm gonna activate it some more. I'm gonna spray the cardstock. You can see all these fun colors just running off the page. It's really cool. I'm just getting that. Now, you can set this aside to dry, or you can dab off any extra water, and this will definitely lighten it up because you'll be removing some of this color if you dab. See how light it's gotten by taking that extra water off. You can just dab that off. Now your fingers will be stained after using Brusho, so hopefully you are okay with that. And the other thing is that none of your projects are ever going to be the same, because Brusho is really not a color that you can really coordinate, because, or not coordinate, that's not, control, because it's crystals and wherever it lands is where it activates. All right, so the other thing you can do is use your heat tool to kind of speed up the drying process, which I'm gonna do for the sake of the video. Okay, so once your cardstock is completely dry, then we can run it through the Big Shot and cut out the butterfly framelets. So the framelets that we're going to use are the larger, I call it like the whiter butterfly. So you have a thinner, more detailed butterfly, and then you have the whiter, less detailed butterfly. This is the one we're going to cut out. So this is the sandwich that I use. A regular base plate, not the magnetic one, a thin die adapter, the precision plate, my project and the framelets, and then one clear plate. And this is the plate I like to use. I use it only with the precision plate because the precision plate warps the clear plate so much that I have one just designated for the precision plate so it can be warped all it wants. And I'm just running this through a couple times because I want to make sure that the framelets cut out the butterfly completely. Because the butterfly is so detailed, this is really the only way to go about getting all of those pieces out. So once we've cut our butterfly, we're going to set this here on our die brush and foam mat, and we're just going to brush out all of the pieces and pull our butterfly out of the framelit carefully. And isn't that just adorable? Look at that beautiful butterfly that we made. So now we'll assemble the card. I can get my space clean here. So we've got our pieces here, super simple to put together. I'm just gonna use liquid glue. Put that on the back of my layering leaves cardstock, and we'll center that in the center of our card base. Like so. And then we'll put adhesive on the back of our butterfly. And I'm just going to put it in as many places as I can where there's a big enough space. Trying to just do little dots. Okay. And then we're just going to lay this down. Hold it down while it has a second to dry. We may have to put additional adhesive down if it doesn't want to stay in places. How cute is that? Isn't that a beautiful butterfly card? How fun and simple is that? So fun. It Oops, I got some adhesive on the back of my card. So there is a very simple way of using Brusho to make a really stunning card. Okay? All right. I hope you like project number 1. Project number 2. Let's go ahead and do this one. This one is a fun one. This one includes some stamping. So let's go ahead, get our pieces for this card. This card is using Poppy Parade, so that's our base color is Poppy Parade. And then we have a piece of Daffodil Delight for the matted piece. And then we have a piece of that shimmery white cardstock, which we're going to color. This piece goes on the inside of your card, just with the little sentiment here. And then this is our little label, so we'll stamp and color this piece here. So we'll set the colored pieces aside, and we're going to stamp the pieces that we need to here real quick. So the first thing we'll need is that beautiful butterfly. Both of our beautiful little butterflies are going to be stamped on the front. So we'll put these on blocks. We have the little butterfly and the bigger butterfly, and then the sentiment. So our friendship isn't one big thing, it's a million little things. Okay? Now remember, we're going to use Stays On Black ink for this because when we're using Brusho and water, we do not want it to run. So let's do our little label here. So our friendship isn't one big thing. And then we'll do a little butterfly down at the bottom. Okay. And then on the inside, we have a little butterfly and the sentiment again. It's a million little things. And this fun little butterfly here. Okay, so that's it for the inside piece. Let's go ahead and set that aside. And then now we need to decorate the front piece, which is all of our little butterflies fluttering around the page. So we're just going to stamp the butterflies everywhere. Okay. Let's do some of the bigger butterflies. I think that's good. Let's do one there and one here. Okay, now it's time to play with Brusho again. Just so fun. So this card is primarily yellow and red. Those are pretty much the only 2 colors we're going to use for this one. And again, we're going to need some paper towels. I think we can probably use the one we used before. Okay. And this time I want to show you that you can put the crystals down first before you put the water, and then you can activate it. So let's just go ahead and get a lot of this yellow on. And we're actually going to do it in 2 steps. So the first one is yellow. So let's go ahead and activate it and get this card nice and yellow, which is super fun. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and let it sit there for a second. And we're going to go back over with red, but we're going to be very specific about where we put it. We're going to only put it on the butterflies. So the redness is going to be directly with the butterflies. The yellow is going to be kind of the background piece. So let's just get the excess yellow off. All right, so now let's go ahead and try to strategically place red powder. And it's not going to be perfect. You can make it perfect by using the aqua painter if you wanted, but that wasn't the look I was going for. It's kind of going for like a red kind of, you know, fluttery type style. So now we're going to activate it again with water. So now all of the little places where the butterfly are is red. And I just want to take off the excess because I don't want the red to run too much. I kind of want it to stay with the butterflies. So see, now we have this cute, cute, cute red and yellow butterfly card. Now the other thing we're going to do is color our butterfly on our little label. You can see that it's that same red. So what we're going to do is now you can either use your matte, or I also used a clear block before, but you're going to take a little bit of the red and just put it out on your block. Just a few crystals is all. You don't need hardly anything. Okay, just one little tap. And you're gonna put water at the bottom of your brush. Make sure your brush is wet. And pick up that paint. Now we're gonna be like watercoloring. And we're just going to color our little butterfly. Just getting it a little bit of red. Okay, perfect. And then we can take our aqua painter, clean it on paper towel, and you can even dab at your butterfly, make sure there's no excess color, and then it's really easy to clean the block. You just wipe it off with a baby wipe or a paper towel, and it comes right off. Okay, so there is that. Now we just need to dry our piece here, so let's go ahead and with the magic of speed here, let's dry our piece. Okay, once our piece is dry all the way, we're going to glue all our pieces together. Now, I am going to use liquid glue on my card. And we're gonna have to glue it down really well because once you add water to cardstock, it kind of warps it a little bit, especially when you use a heat gun to dry it. So it's gonna take a strong adhesive to hold this all down. So just trying to get this centered on the piece of Daffodil Delight. And then we'll just hold this down and rub it down. Oops. One time when I was playing with Brusho, I wore white capris, and that was a mistake. I learned real quick that you don't want to wear clothes that the crystals can show or transfer onto, because those water crystals tend to get everywhere somehow. Okay, so then we're going to put this piece on our card base, like so. Center that up as best we can and hold it down. And then we're going to put our pieces of our label together. So the white oval goes on top of the scallop Daffodil Delight oval. And then the Daffodil Delight scallop oval goes on the Poppy Parade oval, like so. And then we're going to put this on with some dimensionals. So I'll just get out my mini dimensionals I have here. Put some on the back. I love this sentiment from this Beauty Abounds stamp set. It's just so sweet. What a perfect friendship card. Just tell your friends you love them. So this goes right in the center of your card. And then on the inside, we'll put our little sentiment. Now you can color this butterfly too. You could color it yellow if you wanted. You could leave it black and white. Put that in the center. And voila, you have a finished card. How sweet is that? That's card number 2. What a fun technique, right? I hope you're starting to love Brusho and not be so intimidated by it, because it really is a fun coloring technique. Okay, Next project, ooh, I love this one. This one, we're actually going to paint the Brusho onto our cardstock. So let me find that card real quick. Of course, it's going to be the bottom one. And this one, we're actually have to do some embossing before we do some coloring, but that's okay. So here's your pieces. The base is Night of Navy. And I have already done the hard work for you and cut out one of the butterflies, one of the detailed butterflies. Now, I will tell you, I did not spend a lot of time trying to poke out all of these little holes in the butterfly. It was just too much work. So I apologize, but you are going to have to kind of clean up your butterfly a little bit, poke out all those little extra holes. The die brush did not want to take them all out for me, so... but it only takes a few minutes, and a piercing tool if you have one, or one of these ones. Pick a tool. Just use the piercing tool and poke out all of the little holes. Okay, so those are the pieces to our card. Now, we are going to emboss this piece of shimmery white cardstock, and we're going to use the white embossing powder. So we need Versamark ink, which I have right here. You need Versamark ink when you're doing embossing powder. That's what the embossing powder sticks to, is this clear sticky ink. And what we're going to do is we're going to emboss this pretty floral image here on the top and bottom of that piece. So this image here. So we'll put that on a block. And I think this block will fit. Yep, perfect. So just ink that up. Okay, and stamp it across the top, and you can do it at an angle or do it however you'd like, but across the top and across the bottom. Okay, then we need the embossing powder. And what I like to do is I use this little embossing tray. This tray I think I got at the dollar store. They sell, you can get a bunch of them. But I'm just pouring the powder over the cardstock in the tray to kind of keep all the powder from going everywhere on my mat and on my workspace. So, poured it on everything, just tapping off the excess. Just looking to make sure that none stuck where it shouldn't have. It looks pretty good to me. And then you can just take your embossing powder and pour it right back into your container. We're gonna need this again, so we'll just set it aside here. Okay, now we need our heat gun and a tool to hold it down so we don't burn our fingers. Okay, and we'll just heat up this powder until it gets shiny. Done. All right, now we are going to need our little block again because it's going to be our little mixing mat. To create this color, which I was going for a purple color, it kind of turned into a darker blue. But to create this color, I'm actually mixing two colors. Did you know that you could mix the colors and make new colors? That's a really a fun thing to do, but you're going to use red and blue. That's how you make purple. Did you know that? And I'm going to take my aqua painter. Now, the other thing I want to do is just make sure it's really wet. And I'm just going to mix here this kind of palette and see what kind of color I came up with and see, you know, do I want it darker? Do I want it more purple? Do I want it more blue? And once you've got that color, you're going to paint across your cardstock. Isn't that so cool? And every time you mix, it's going to be kind of a different concoction. Ooh, I love how it went from dark to light. That's actually really, really cool. I'm going to keep that going and just go from dark purple to light purple, like an ombre. Okay, so there you go. And that is how you make that colored background. You can paint with the aqua painter, and you can paint, you know, different colors into the flowers. It's very cool. So that is how you get that brush, that paintbrush look. And then you'll just take either a paper towel or baby wipe, clean your block, and clean your aqua painter. You want to get all the paint out of there. Okay? So that is really, really simple to do, right? But a really pretty background. Now we've got to make sure it dries. So I'm just going to heat emboss it real quick. Make sure it gets dry so I can glue it down. Okay, and then when your cardstock is dry, you can glue it down to your card base. So, just like so. I'm going to use my liquid glue again. And put some in the middle too. Okay. And then we're going to put those butterflies on the front. And we're going to make it so that their wings kind of pop up from the page. I'll show you how we do that so that you can see when these are, I mean, it's been flat in an envelope, but they're not glued down so they can kind of flutter free. You can pick them up. So just putting this down. I really kind of like this dark to light look. It's really cool. All right, so the two butterflies that I used the small butterfly here and the large butterfly in the middle, which means that you have to trim off your butterfly. All of these extra butterflies. And you can save these butterflies for another project if you'd like. But you do not need them for this one. Okay, so here's our big butterfly, which can kind of fold up the wings a little bit and put it there. And then we'll use our smaller butterfly kind of up here in the corner going a different direction. So the only places that you need to put glue is in the centers of the butterflies. So I'm just going to put that there. And here. Very cute. Cool effect. So you can definitely use those use that aqua painter and just paint it just like you would color. So you can paint pretty backgrounds, washes, like watercolor washes or different things. And you can do different colors. You can mix the brush to make different colors. You can see I did more of a purple kind of lighter color on this card, and I did the darker, more bluer card. So you can mix it and make it any color you want. That one's probably one of my favorite cards. I really like that technique. Okay. Next card, let's see, which one should we do next? Ooh, okay, let's do this one. This one's a really pretty one. This one is, I guess I should show you, huh? This one is a pretty one. We're gonna make this background. This is a stamp. Little bubbles are a stamp. And we're gonna, once again, do an embossing with white powder. We're gonna stamp the bubbles, we're gonna emboss it, and then we will put that pretty background, okay? So, what comes in your card? Ooh, oh yes, so don't lose. You should have 4 pretty little butterflies, a strip that is 1/2 inch by 2.5 inches for the little sentiment that we'll stamp. And then you'll see these 2 big butterflies. We're gonna cut these apart and we're gonna use them separately on the front of the card to decorate. So just cut those 2 off like so. Okay. All right, so first thing we need to do is put that bubble on a stamp. I did do little ones, so we'll do both sizes. And get those on blocks real quick. So we have the little bubbles and the bigger bubbles. Okay, and then we have a piece of Whisper White. This is just the matte for the card base here. See, the white piece is the matte. So we'll set these two pieces aside, and we just need our one piece of shimmery white, and we need our Versamark ink again. Okay, and we're going to ink this up and stamp those bubbles everywhere. They're really hard to see on white paper, but if you hold them up and look in different, like at the glares, you can kind of see where that ink is, so you don't stamp over it again. Not that it would really matter because of the pattern. I don't think it would really truly matter, but all right, let's see how many I've got going on here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So now we're gonna take our white embossing powder again. So we will just put the piece of cardstock right in here and just pour this right over it and get that white powder on our embossed, or our Versamark images. And there we go, we've got them on the bubbles. Okay, and we can just put this powder back in. I'm so proud of myself for not making a huge mess, which I normally do. Okay, I'm gonna put this block under this because it's kind of melting my mat a little bit. So make sure you have something to hold down while you're heating, because you don't want to burn your fingers and you don't want your page to blow away. Okay, so once we've got those all set, now we can go back over with Brusho and color. So this one, we're going to kind of do the similar, just kind of sprinkle on there and let it activate. I think what I want to do is get my paper wet ahead of time. So I'm going to take my spritzer and just get the card really wet. And I didn't put a piece of paper towel down underneath it, which I should have, but I'll just wipe it up after I'm done. And then I'm going to use a combination of red, yellow, and orange to create my background. So just tap on some red, tap on some orange, and some yellow. And you can see my page is curling, but that's okay. That's natural, it happens. And I'm going to spray again just to get the color mixing around. Now you can see mine is really looking really yellow, really orange. So we can keep adding different colors to kind of get the mixture that we want. And I'm just trying to lay this flat and tap out the extra color. Now you can go and do this in layers, which is what I'm going to do. I want a little bit more red and orange. So I'm going to put some red down here and a little bit of orange and activate it again. Oops, I'm running low. You might have to refill your spritzer. To add water to your spritzer, you just twist off the cap. I have a bottle of water here. Just carefully pour some water in. put your sprayer back on top. And let's activate these colors and get that color that we want. Because I want it to kind of be a little bit more pink, less red. So you just keep adding water. You can dilute the colors, spread the colors around by adding more. Let's put some more orange. And again, you're just adding layers until you like the color combination that you have. Now, the more you add, the more risk you have of making it muddy. So you want to kind of stop at some point, but you can keep mixing until you've got the color that you want. You can let it sit to absorb some of the color, or you can lift off right away if you want a lighter color. And this is getting closer to the color I want. So I think I'm still going to mix a little bit more red here on this side. Spray to activate. Let it sit there for a minute this time. And then we'll dab off again. In the meantime, I'm going to take my little butterflies and make sure I poke out all the little holes so they are ready to be glued on while that color soaks up a little bit. These butterflies, I can tell you, were not very fun to cut out. All the little tiny pieces ended up everywhere in my craft room. But we survived. We made it. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and dab up the extra water. Ooh, that's a really cool look. I really like that. So this is obviously not going to be the same as the one I did before. And like I said, with these watercolor crystals, you're never going to have the same thing twice. It will never be quite the same because you're dealing with watercolor crystals and you can't control and make it the same each time. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and dry this. How cool. I love the running of the color. Looks really cool. Okay, so now that is dry, let's go ahead and set this aside for a minute and we'll stamp our little sentiment on the little piece of Whisper White. Now you need Highland Heather ink, which I don't have out at the moment, so I need to find it. Here it is. And the hello sentiments. So little hello here. Put that on a block. And we're going to stamp hello in the center. Okay. And then take your scissors and on the left-hand side of hello, cut down the center and then cut from an angle to that point in the center to create a little dovetail. Okay, so there's our little label. Now we can assemble our card. So let's go ahead and use our liquid glue again. And just glue our piece of Whisper White down. Onto our Highland Heather. And then we'll take our Brusho piece. And glue that down. don't know what this background reminds me of, but it's very, very cool. Like lava or, I don't know. It's really cool, whatever it is. Okay, so once we get that glued down, then we are going to glue our butterflies. So I have my big butterfly here. I'm gonna just put a little glue in the center, glue him down here. I'm gonna do my little hello here off to the side. And I'm gonna put one of my butterflies next to it, one of the little butterflies, just off to the side here. Okay, do another bigger butterfly, whoops, here in the corner. And then we'll do our little ones scattered across. Like so. Yay, look how cool that card is. How fun. It's definitely different. It's not something you would see every day, but it is very stunning. Love that they pops. This color just is so bright and beautiful. So there you go. Love this card. Okay. What's our next card? Ooh, yes. Let's do this pretty rainbow card. I love this one. This is another one where we're going to use our brush, our aqua painter. So we'll find the card that has the black cardstock in it. And it's going to have black cardstock, a piece of shimmery white, and a basic black butterfly. Okay? So we're going to set these basic black pieces aside because we are going to work on our rainbow. And we are going to be painting with our aqua painter. So I'm going to open up this paper towel because we're going to have to clean off our aqua painter several times to have to pick up the different colors. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a little pile of each color. So we've got red, then orange, yellow, green, and then last, blue. Okay? So we've got our aqua painter, and we're going to start with the red at the top. So getting my aqua painter wet, picking up and activating the paint colors, and we might need to use more, which we can definitely do. Just get it really wet and brush that color across your cardstock. Okay? Pick up more. You want it nice and bright. Nice and bright, okay? Then we're going to clean off the brush. And we're going to start with orange. So we're going to pick up orange and right into the red. We just want to mix the colors, okay? Make sure your brush is really wet. You want the colors to mix right where they touch, okay? That's going to be our orange. And if you need to pull in some more red, you can do that. Just kind of tone down the orange a little bit. I love how the colors mix together. Bring down that red a little bit more. Okay, then we're going to get yellow. And then bring that yellow in next to the orange. Now, orange is the one I notice I feel like has the hardest time kind of standing out. But I kind of am happy with this one, but you can add some more red if you need that orange to stand out a little bit more. And we're just going to keep going. Now we've got green. Now green is really dark. So A little goes a long way with the green. And we're gonna mix blue in to make this green a little bit more pretty and dark. So we're gonna start down here with the blue. Make sure your aqua painter is really wet, spread that color. And then as it mixes with the green, you can see it makes a kind of a prettier green. Get some more blue, dark, and then as we go up, make a prettier green. The green and the blue mixed together make a prettier green than just that mossy green by itself. Okay, and then what I'd like to do is I'd like to get more of this yellow and kind of mix it, push it back down. Okay, so there we have our beautiful rainbow. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Love painting with this color. These colors are so bright and pretty. Okay, so now let's get a baby wipe and we'll clean off our block real quick. And like it was never there. And then we're going to heat this so it'll dry a little bit faster. And then we can put this beautiful card together. Okay, and once it's dry, we will glue that down. Look how bright and vibrant those colors are. That's what I love about Brusho. The color is just so bright and vivid. It just makes a card just stand out with how bright it is. So we're going to put adhesive on the back of our rainbow. I love this rainbow. I love rainbows. Rainbows make me happy. Okay, glue that down. And the black just, I feel like, helps make it pop even more. All those bright colors. So we'll just glue that down. And then we'll put adhesive on the back of our butterfly. And we're gonna just kind of have to, ooh, that was a lot. We're gonna have to dab and spread this around wherever we can because it's so thin. You might have to use fine tip glue, which, where is my fine tip glue? Get my fine tip glue out, maybe that will be better. And just put dots of glue around our butterfly. Okay, and then we will put this beautiful butterfly on our project. Smack in the middle of our card. Just hold that down so it glues down. Wow, what a beautiful, stunning card. Love this one. Absolutely beautiful. It's so fun with those bright rainbow colors. Did you know you can make rainbows with Brusho? Now you know. Okay, our last one here is a really cool technique where we're going to make a mask, basically, and the Brusho will be hidden behind and it will come through and you'll see this pretty background. So the base is Balmy Blue, and what I did was I took another piece of Balmy Blue and I cut out the butterfly. And mine, I cut too close to the bottom and it's not connected, but that's okay, it won't be a problem. But I've kept the negative of the butterfly here. And this is going to be put on the front of our card, okay? And behind it is going to be this piece of shimmery white cardstock, the bigger piece, you'll have two. But the bigger piece is gonna be behind it and it's going to be colored, okay? So like so. And it's gonna have the Brusho, and that's where the butterfly is gonna come through. And then we're gonna put this white butterfly in that negative space and line it up. And it will fit right in there, like so. and then through the wings, you'll see the Brusho. And then we have a little label that we'll stamp and put a sentiment on, and then on the inside is the end of the sentiment. So it says on the outside, a friend is someone who chooses you out of a whole world of people. Okay, and so that's what this inside piece is. So let's go ahead and do the Brusho and stamping real quick, and then we will put the card together. So the big piece will have the Brusho on it, so let's put that aside for a minute. Let's go ahead and get the stamping out of the way. So the sentiment is, a friend is someone who chooses you, and we're gonna do that in Stays on Black ink on this little label. This label here is the storybook label, which I think is so cute. So we'll stamp that sentiment there. And then on the inside is going to be out of a whole world of people. Okay, so those are stamped, and now we can set them aside until we're ready to assemble. Let's go ahead and clean off our blocks, our ink, because remember it stays on and we don't want it to stain the block or stain the stamps. So clean those off. Okay, set those aside. All right, for this one, let's go ahead and get another piece of paper towel, and we'll get our piece of shimmery white cardstock, and we're going to only use our blue. Okay, I'm going to again activate my piece of paper with water first. I kind of like to do that just because I feel like I control the water crystals a little bit more that way. They kind of stick to the water instead of going everywhere. So I'm just going to get my paper really, really wet. Okay, and then I'm going to start sprinkling on that pretty blue. Look how that activates. Isn't that the coolest thing? And then where you can see that it's kind of stopped running and clumping, you can put more water. And you can let that sit and absorb the water into the cardstock, or you can dab away right away and it will be a lot lighter. And remember, you can always add more layers of color as you go. I want mine to be a little bit dark, so I'm going to let it sit here for a minute. You can see that it curls and all the excess water runs off onto the paper towel, which is great. That's what we want it to do. Now, if I were to just dry this right now, it would not get any lighter. It would be this dark, which might actually be really cool. So let's go ahead and just try that. We'll just heat it as it is, not wiping off any extra ink or water, and see how dark we end up with the color. Okay, here we go. Okay, so you can see when you don't dab off the color, it stays really dark. So it's really cool looking how dark it's going to be. It's definitely going to be darker than our first butterfly. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, we'll bring all our little pieces back in here. The first thing that we're going to want to do is glue this piece down to our base. So we want to glue this down to the center of our cardstock. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some glue. Now, tear and tape would also work really well to hold this down because it is kind of warped. But liquid glue works as well. You just have to kind of hold it down for a little bit. So we'll just hold that down. Just kind of making sure it's laying flat and it's glued down. Okay, so now we'll take this piece here and put some glue on the back side. And we have to glue all of these areas. Even the middle. So pick this up. Okay, this is the tricky part. We're gonna have to lay this down and get it centered without moving it around too much. So we don't want the glue everywhere. Okay, so, and my piece is a little bit more tricky because of this bottom piece here that's not connected. But that should be pretty good. Ooh. Ooh. So we just want this glued down. Okay. Like so. And then we're going to take this piece and we're going to lay it inside the cutout. But I need to poke out some of these extra little white pieces that I didn't get out. So again, I apologize, you will have to do that on some of your butterflies. I just did not have the patience to do that. I had these little pieces everywhere. Okay, should be most of them. So let's go ahead and put glue on the back of this in as many of the little spaces as we can. Just being careful, just doing little daubs. Not going crazy with the glue, or at least not trying to. Can't promise that I won't. But definitely in the big spaces we can put glue. Okay, and then we will lay that in our cutout. So cool. What a cool effect. Ooh, and I love the dark butterflies. The dark wings look really cool. How awesome is that? So check out that difference. So see, this one I had cleaned away a lot of the ink. This one I left the dark ink, so the dark butterfly pops out even more. So really, 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 really cool. Making sure that's glued down. And we can put our sentiment on with some dimensionals. Grab my dimensionals if I can find them. I don't know what I did with them. I put them off in a safe place and now I can't find them. Just get a new sheet here. And we'll just put those down like so. And then glue them down on the butterfly. Right here to the side. And then we'll glue this piece down on the inside of the card. So cute. I do like this card a lot too. Very fun. So there you go, you guys. I hope that you learned several fun ways to use Brusho and get out those crystal colors and create and make beautiful colors, beautiful creations. All of these cards are just so different, so bright, so vibrant, and so fun to make. Each and every single one of them is not difficult. and it doesn't take a whole lot of work, and Brusho is just bright and beautiful and vibrant. Thank you so much for participating in my class. I really appreciate you guys. If there's any other techniques that you'd like me to teach you or learn, let me know. But I hope that you'll enjoy Brusho as much as I do. Thanks again, you guys. Bye-bye.